are very, very honored to have in the program a gentleman of national stature in India who is not only well known now in the Indian subcontinent but throughout the world amongst music lovers from the South Asian origin. None other than the golden voice, your favorite, the star idol of the Indian music industry, Pankaj Udhas.
कर इतना गुरूर सूरत पे हसीना कजरे की धार ना मोतियों के हार चिट्ठी आई है चिट्ठी आई है मैं दीवाना हूँ मुझे दिल लगी ने मारा है किसी ने भी तो न देखा
Pankaj ji, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shyam.
First of all, our hearty congratulations to you. I mean, you're a triple platinum disc award winner. Tell me about this triple platinum award.
As you know, in India, we have a very large music industry, audio industry now. And after cassettes, it became a major situation. We have certain laid down rules for the status of platinum as per the international standards. The earlier probably the sales were limited only to long plays, but since the cassettes came into the market, it was during that era that we came into picture, because not only me but a few of my other colleagues, we all started a parallel kind of music in India which was not existing, which is known as non-film music in our technical language or in our music audio industry. And my first album I remember was Afrin in '86. I mean, I made a lot of albums, but there was an album called Afrin in '86, which really got a tremendous reception and tremendous response from the listeners.
इश्क न जाए जिसको यार वो फिर नाचे बीच बाजार.
That album reached a stage of sales, in terms of sales, that I qualified, or whatever it is. I reached the status of triple platinum, and I think it was really the overwhelming response from the audience, from the listeners, and I guess that was the beginning of what we call the non-film music industry.
This is wonderful. In other words, in normal calculation, there is a silver award, then there is a gold award, then
yes.
there is platinum.
Yes.
In that case, you have a triple platinum.
That's right, yes.
Hearty congratulations.
Thank you.
This must be several million copies, that means.
That's right, yes.
This is wonderful. Now tell me something. The music industry in India itself has taken a tremendous leap in the last few years. Music was always loved in India, but now the respect for music is gone tremendously high. Tell me, what is the reason for this tremendous awareness and transition?
I guess overall, as you are one of the media persons, as you know, that in India till 1970, media was very, very restricted. Media meant only newspapers. That was the only media in India. But after 70, we had television, and then we had a whole lot of magazines which came to the market. Some wonderful magazines dealing with different kinds of subjects. And then, no doubt, the cassettes came in. Cassettes became very popular. Long play, I still prefer the long play quality, but in terms of buying, storing, and then maintaining long plays, it was a major problem for common masses. And even the price was not affordable. So we reached a stage when cassettes, television, magazines, newspapers, they gave a tremendous exposure to music, which people were aware of, no doubt. But it became there came a time when people could go across the road and buy a cassette for a very, very small, a little amount of money. And that's what started the entire success story of music started from then. And then on, today you will be surprised, but India has reached a situation that today in India, we are looking at something like 400 crores a year turnover of music.
You come from a very illustrious family. Your father, from what I understand, was very involved in culture and tradition
Yes, he was.
and heritage. And you know, like father, like son, you're the three gems of your parents. It's unfortunate that your parents are no more, but if they were here today, they would be very, very proud of all
Yes,
three of you.
Not only me, but my entire family, which is my two other brothers. We really miss them, yes.
Tell me about the introduction. I think it was your eldest brother. Manharji was the first one who entered the playback industry and became quite popular before you started even singing public.
Right,
Am I
yes,
correct?
yes.
Tell me about your family background. Tell me about your interest in music.
We come from Gujarat, basically, which is one of the states in India. And we come from a background which is a Gujarati-speaking family. Actually, we don't come from a background which is a Hindi-speaking background. My parents, especially my father, was a very keen music lover. And during his young days, when he was in college and during his younger days, he had a tremendous passion for music. And since my grandfather was one of the top officials of the Bhavnagar state, in those days they used to have Rajas, Maharajas. So my grandfather was working for the Bhavnagar state as one of the administrators. And during that period, my father got a tremendous exposure to Indian classical music. And it was during that period that he learned to play Dilruba. Dilruba is
one of the most beautiful instruments.
One of the most beautiful instruments, and he then carried on playing it as a hobby, though my father was basically a government employee, but he was very keen music lover. And I guess it was his interest, plus my mother was very fond of music. She was a great listener and she was very fond of music. So I guess that probably, you know, came down to us, all of us. And you'd be surprised, but the secret is that in our family, as such, there were three brothers. Nirmal was the one who started singing first.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I see.
And I still remember that I was very young. I must have been about 5 years, 6 years old. But I remember that there was one of the school competitions, and he sang a very famous song of Rafi Saab, O Duniya Ke Rakho.
Oh, your beautiful song.
And he got the first prize in the competition. And he brought home, you know, the trophy, and everybody was delighted. And since then, no doubt, music started in our family. So when I grew up watching my two elder brothers singing. And in Manabhai's case, he had such tremendous passion, like my father, for music, that he being a mechanical engineer, you can imagine that, you know, a man who's done his engineering, he was studying, he was a brilliant student, mind you, he was one of the most intelligent of three of us. But still his passion, you know, his that tremendous burning desire to become a singer was so tremendous, was so overpowering, that at some stage he just decided that he would not do anything in his life but sing. And that took him to Bombay. He went to Bombay, and I still remember that when he went to Bombay, everybody was wondering as to what he was going to do. But he had this tremendous perseverance, tremendous, I would say, aspiration to become a leading singer. And he really worked very hard. I must say that out of the three of us, he has worked the most, and he's worked very hard. But it paid at some stage. And he, as you remember, the first songs of his, the very first song which I really love, and it's loved by everybody today, was Aapse Humko Vichhade Hue from Vishwas. From that song on, he became the Pankaj Udhas, the playback singer.
Fantastic.
And I think that brought the whole family across to Bombay. And that's how the whole, you know, interest in music, you know, kept on going.
Now, we have a request. I'm sure the public would now be dying to have a song from you.
Spare me.
You know, we want you to do a song for us right here in our own studio. Would you do a ghazal for us?
Sure. I think I would like to do a number. It's a beautiful nazam. It's written by one of our leading poets, Zafar Gorakhpuri. And he's a wonderful poet. What I would like to tell the audience, as far as this nazam is concerned, is that this nazam is not just plain words. It has such tremendous amount of emotions packed in it. And it's nothing but a short story of changing times. How time has changed, the values have changed. And the Nazm starts, it has 4 verses. It starts with the time when our grandparents, the time which they went through. Then we came across the period when our parents, what they went through. Then the time through which we are going. I
Beautiful.
mean, the time which we are passing through.
Beautiful.
And then the time which our children are going to pass through.
एक वो भी था ज़माना, एक ये भी है ज़माना.
There is a kind of a prediction, but a beautiful prediction of the future, a wonderful prediction. So I think I'd like to do that number for everybody who's watching this television or this particular show. And I'm sure they would love this number.
Since I mentioned the word Teen Mausam, I want you to say a few words about Teen Mausam.
Sure. Teen Mausam is, to me, I feel like, I really feel like a lady who's carrying a child for 9 months. You know how she goes through everything. Teen Mausam is my baby.
It's wonderful.
And I really feel that I have literally carried that little baby for last almost couple of years, within my mind and, in my heart and everywhere. And it was a concept which, no doubt, all 3 of us, we always wanted to do something together, Manhar, Nirmal and myself. But somehow Mana Bhai was too tied up with his commitments. I was really tied up, almost, I would say, globe-trotting or going all around the world. And apart from that, Nirmal had his own commitments. But we had made it a point that we'll sing together one day and on one album.
Beautiful.
And this year we had made up our minds that we are going to dedicate the year 92, or we are going to earmark the year 92 for the recording of Teen Mausam and release of Teen Mausam. And you won't believe it has taken us, I've been practically living, eating, sleeping in the studio. And we were in the studio for almost 4 months trying to put this album together.
Wonderful.
Because it has, probably you've heard a little bit of Teen Mausam, whatever I played to you from my tape which I had with me.
We've had the pleasure of hearing it, and I must compliment you. Let me tell you, it was outstanding.
Thank you. So Teen Mausam is a combination of the various aspects of Urdu poetry. It has geets, it has nagmas, it has ghazals, it has nazms, it has a qawwali. It's a tremendous collection of Urdu poetry, basic beautiful words. And I'm sure that the title itself, the 3 brothers and Teen Mausam.
Beautiful.
This album has all the seasons you can think of, and it has the beauty of all the seasons. Not the minus 20 degrees, right. Freezing. But yes, it has the beauty of the beautiful snow,
sure,
or probably the lovely heat of desert, or a lovely cool period of spring. It has all the elements.
Wonderful. Tell me something. Ustad Mehdi Hassan and Ghulam Ali and people like that, they had made a tremendous contribution to the field of music, and ghazals were extremely popular. They made it internationally famous. But this was more among the affluent Urdu-speaking community. That you brought in a new tradition whereby the younger generation started getting involved in appreciating ghazals in India. How did you manage to do that? Tell me about it.
I personally feel that for me it was more of a mission, in the sense that I had a very, very dear friend. Unfortunately, he passed away. It's a very, very famous poet, Sheikh Adam Abu Wala. He was a wonderful poet and a wonderful human being. We worked together when I started my career. And we both felt, in fact, I remember that the 2 of us at one stage were so engrossed and so involved in Urdu poetry, ghazals basically, that we read just about all the ustad, the top poets of India and Pakistan. And we felt that the language is so beautiful, but the problem is that this language is not understood by everybody. And the only way we felt that this kind of poetry can be made popular only if we make this language a kind of a language which everybody talks and everybody can understand. In India, what we call is bolchal ki zaban, means a language which everybody, a dialect which you talk in, or the language which you talk in every day. So we started looking at poetry which was simpler. The words were simpler. The meaning was good. The meaning was same probably. But there were words which people would not find very difficult to understand. That was one thing. Second, that I personally felt that you should create music which people can sing with you, which people can hum with you.
Beautiful.
Third aspect was that I always felt that there is a tremendous amount of scope to, bring two different kinds of music together. We have our tremendous basic Indian classical music, and as and when we do a ghazal, we positively select a particular raga that we want to. For example, if we are doing a number which deals with a tremendous romanticism or that kind of a mood, then we are looking at raga which has that kind of shringar raso, the romantic approach. But along with that, I felt that if that was sort of a fusion kind of work, if that had a little bit of a jazz kind of approach,
right,
that there is a lot of scope for music, there's a lot of scope for melody. And this kind of fusion, this kind of mixing the two different areas together really helped me to make my kind of music popular.
Wonderful.
And I guess this experiment of using simpler words, words which people can understand, and the music which people can enjoy, and as you must have seen in our live concert, that there is a tremendous amount of emphasis on good music, good accompaniment. And I think these two things put together have brought in tremendous amount of results. And that's how I think that my kind of music has become popular. And I was rather pleasantly surprised, I would say I was overwhelmed, that I have performed in areas in India or outside India where there are people who are not really Hindi speaking. And in fact, to the matter of fact, I performed in Japan just about 4 months back in Tokyo. The entire concert was organized by a local Japanese organization. And when I performed there, more than 40–50% of the people there were local Japanese people. And I could understand that they would not understand the language, but the point was that they enjoyed the music. So I guess it was very important to bring about this change, to make, I know that I must have compromised at various levels and at various points. And for that probably there are two segments, there are two sides to every story. So I'm sure that I was criticized by the hardcore critics. At the same time, I was praised by people who felt that I have contributed in making this kind of music more popular and this kind of music more accessible.
Very good.
And I guess that's the reason why my kind of music has gone round the world, and I think there are not very many places left where I have not performed.
Of course, yeah.
So I guess that proves that my kind of experiment, basically, what I started with as an experiment, has been fortunately successful. I think God has been very kind.
That's wonderful. Live shows, you three have been now performing together in a North American tour. Tell me about the difference between performing or cutting a record and performing live on stage, all three of you.
These two things are positively poles apart, I would say. Playback singing or singing in the studio, basically singing in the studio or recording in the studio, and singing live on the stage, have very, very distinct differences. When we record in the studio, we have tremendous advantages, because if we don't do something right, we can do it again and again, because we can re-record, we can redo it. Now we have, with the latest technology, we have the facility of dubbing. So we can dub each and every line, each and every verse, we can sing again and again, there's no problem. In the recording studio, we generally prefer to sing or to do work with only the technicians. So we are totally at peace, there is tremendous amount of concentration. And when we are singing, we are not really looking at a feedback, because we don't really have to worry that whether people would like this or not. You are just recording, so you are totally concentrating on just doing that particular number or that album. But when you go on stage, first of all,
there's no retake possible. You're live.
You can't sing again, or so you have to be very, very precise. And as you must have seen me prior to the concert, that I'm always rather slightly hyper because
No, I didn't think you were hyper at all. I thought you were very, very cool. You know, considering the fact that that you had 3,000 people.
It all goes inside.
Well, if you were hyper, you never showed it.
You can't see the butterflies in my stomach.
I see.
But anyways, it's always a new experience because you are facing a different crowd every day. You know that you are singing in Chicago one day, the next day you're singing in Toronto, the third day you're singing in New York. At the same time, you're singing at places like Roy Thompson Hall or you're singing at Lincoln Center. Now, you have to live up to that kind of an environment where you are singing. You have a beautiful audience of say 3,000 or 4,000, 5,000 people in front of you. And you really have to do something which would make them happy. You can't take them for granted. In a studio, if I sing something which is not right, nobody's going to tell me that, this is nonsense or this is absolutely trash. I could do it again. Mm-hmm. But if I make a mistake on the stage or if I don't get the audience with me, then it's the end. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody would walk out of the auditorium and say that this concert was terrible, there's nothing. So it means there is more effort involved in doing a concert or doing live work on stage than doing recording work. But I must tell you one thing, that in spite of all this, I personally feel, or probably I could say it for myself, I don't know how the others think, the other artists think, but to me, stage is my first love, I would say, because I still feel that when you're singing in front of those, thousands of people, and when you do something, and when you get that instant response from there,
right,
and when you get that thunderous applause, if you've done something good,
absolutely,
then it's so satisfying that your day is made. I mean, you don't want anything on this earth. Right. After that applause, from people, from when they really applaud you, and when they find that you're doing something good, I don't think there's a better satisfaction on this earth.
Have you acted in a movie?
Yes. Not really. I mean, I've not really taken this up as a serious profession as an actor. But if you remember, there was one song which I did in a film called Naam.
Oh yes, Naam.
Sanjay Dutt and Kumar Gaurav.
Kumar Gaurav, right.
And I appeared in the film as Pankaj Udhas.
Well, that's
that song became a super hit, and no doubt, more than anything else, I think that's the kind of a song which people would remember forever. It's an evergreen song, which was Chitti Aayi Hai, as you remember.
Very much so, yes. Yes. One of the most popular.
So that adds to the credit as Pankaj Udhas as an actor also.
Well, my Freudian slip was actually effective there anyway. That's good. Was not a Freudian slip, so he is an actor as well. But here is a delightful sample of this great side of your life without those thousands of people in front of you, when you're alone by yourself. What makes you sad?
Basically, I'm a very private person, Chandrasekharji. I don't really sort of socialize much. I'm not really much into the cocktail party circuit, frankly speaking. Whenever I'm in town, whenever I'm in Bombay, I prefer to spend my time with my family. I do love to spend a lot of time with my little daughter, who's a beautiful child. I mean, every child is beautiful though, but I love my daughter. She's a wonderful child. So I like to spend a lot of time with her, with my wife. And apart from that, the best part is that we three brothers, we live very close by. So once or twice a week, we like to meet each other. We catch up with all the gossip, and we laugh and we joke and we eat together. And I think that's the kind of a life which I have. What touches me the most, or what bothers me the most, is the values, frankly speaking. Times have changed, values have changed. That does bother me a lot. And second thing which makes me really very sad is children. I feel that I've been very actively involved with a couple of organizations in India. I've been doing a lot of work for the Cancer Patients Aid Society for the last 10 years now.
That's wonderful.
And recently I have been elected as the president of the Parents Thalassaemic Unit. Now we are looking after children who are suffering from thalassemia. I don't know, probably very many of our listeners must not have heard of this problem, but it's a blood disorder, and it's a genetical problem.
I see.
But there are a lot of children in India who have, it's not only, it's not a problem which is only in India, but it's international problem. There are places like Cyprus and Greece and all around Italy, they have this problem. It's a genetical problem. So I look after this organization now. I've been involved with them for 3-4 years, and now since as a president of the organization, I'm more involved. And when I see those children, when I see them suffering, I think there's nothing more, there's nothing which could be more sad than that. And I think that does make me feel very sad.
You know, you're a very sensitive person. You know, in the while that I have gotten to know you,
Yes.
I find that most artists are quite sensitive. Very few people understand these great artists. Artists have idiosyncrasies, they have moods, and people have to understand those. Right. Now, when you're so sensitive, is it easy for you to get hurt?
Very easy. But I guess over the years I have overcome this kind of a situation in the sense that I have, as I've grown in my age, I have started taking things in a very, very philosophic way. And I feel that, you know, it's not really worth getting hurt, or it's not worth it's not worth getting worked up. So I have been, but still, there are moments when I really feel that, you know, I'm worked up. I feel hurt for various things, you know, when it happens. And I personally feel that, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I'm always trying to give. I have never believed in taking. So I personally feel that when you are a kind of a person who wants to give all the time, and when you're doing that, when you see somebody who's selfish, or somebody who's trying to take everything away, it hurts. It feels that, you know, here is a person, you know, who, to him, you know, that nothing matters, you know, except taking everything. So I guess that's the kind of experience does make me feel rather low, yes.
You as children, when you were growing up, now you mentioned about this blood disease, you know, that you talked about, very big celebrities around the world. Jerry Lewis, for instance, he started muscular dystrophy.
That's right, yes.
Because there was some family illness in that, and they had, you know, somebody in the family, so they were exposed to it. Is it something similar to that you became aware of this through someone that you knew in your family or friends?
Well, as far as cancer is concerned, unfortunately, I lost my father because of that disease.
Very sorry to
So
hear
I
that.
think that was one of the reasons why I got involved in this organization. And as far as the thalassemia problem is concerned, I was approached. There was a wonderful lady. She used to be the sheriff of Bombay. Unfortunately, she passed away just about 6 months back. She was the one who introduced me to these problems. In fact, she was working for leprosy, and when she took me around the clinic, touching all the lepers, I was rather shocked. She told me, she said, "This is how it is." She says that, you know, you have seen only the good side of life. That, you know, you've seen glamour, you've seen stage, you've seen lights, but she said this is the other side. And I guess she was the one who got me involved. And when she started showing me the children who were going through this thalassemia problem, I really felt that I had to do something for them. So that's how I got involved. And I feel that I would never stop doing work for these kind of causes, because I feel that it does need a lot of attention, yes.
Wonderful. I want to take you on to another more serious subject. You know, a country like India, Indian subcontinent is one of the most richest nations in the world, I would say, in terms of culture and heritage and tradition and the pride that the community has.
Oh, yes.
But it is also truly multilingual. It is multi-religious. There is a lot of you know, different languages, different, you know, religions in the, you know, and it's truly a secular state.
Yes.
But unfortunately, with human beings around the world, you know, religion has caused problems, and India is not an exception. And there's been some unfortunate problems in that country. What would you do as a mission in terms of your music? Is there any message for peace through music that you would like to give the viewers?
Well, basically, I personally feel that music is, you can ask any person on this earth, and they would agree that music is something which is divine.
Absolutely.
You close your eyes, you start singing, and I feel that I feel closest to God, I feel closest to Almighty. When I'm singing, I'm lost. I'm not the same person. I'm not in the same place. So I guess that music has such an impact. And I have seen that when there are people who are listening to me, even they get absolutely involved. They don't realize anything as to what's happening on this earth. And I guess my group itself, in fact, you know, unfortunately, a couple of my musicians have not come up this time because one of them, you know, his wife was ill and things like that. But my group is in fact an ideal example of what you call secularism. I've had in my group, I've had musicians who are Muslims, Hindu, Christian, Sikh. So we have had a combination of everybody, and we have lived together, we have worked together for years. And I think it's music
That's wonderful.
which keeps us away from all these petty problems on this earth.
That's
And
wonderful.
I think we are very happy. And I probably, if you are talking about a message, I could positively say that music brings peace, music brings peace of mind, music brings relaxation. Music is something which is like meditation, it's divine.
So what can people expect from you in the future?
Well, I have been doing all kinds of experimental work. As you know, I did an album called Rubai, which was the translation of Umar Khayyam's Rubaiyat. And that did wonders in terms of listeners really liked it, because it was a tremendous experiment that I translated all the Rubaiyats of Umar Khayyam from his original Persian work into Urdu, and then I did an album on that. After that, I've done an experiment like Teen Mausam, in the sense 3 of us have come together. So I personally feel that I am basically a kind of a person who's always looking for challenges, looking for trouble basically, because I'm graying, you can see with all the tension. But I personally feel that there is no fun in life if there's no challenge.
Of course.
And it is very important that one has to face the life with the challenges, which I do lose my cool once in a while. I get impatient, I guess, which happens to all of us. There's no way that one can keep one's cool and go about the whole thing. But I still like to face the challenges. And I have certain ideas, I have certain thoughts in my mind. And when we get back to India, I would start cracking on it. I positively want to do a beautiful video of 3 of us together. And if things work out well, I think we should be doing that as soon as we go back to India.
Wonderful.
And I also want to do a video on me, which would be, because as you must have seen and noticed, you've been asking me all along for the Toronto concert, that I could not really provide you much of my music on video, because I have not really done a genuine video as such. And I've been getting a lot of requests from all my fans that I've got to give them something on, in terms of visuals. So I'm planning a video of some of my popular songs, some of my new songs. And
Maybe we should do a co-production with you.
Sure, why not? I'm sure you are very, very competent. You're brilliant, in
Oh,
fact.
it's very kind of you to say.
And I think that's the future plan.
ऐ ग़मे ज़िंदगी कुछ तो दे मशवरा, ऐ ग़मे ज़िंदगी कुछ तो दे मशवरा, एक तरफ उसका घर एक तरफ मैं गदा.
In Canada, 14,000 miles away from the Indian subcontinent and the culture, trying to maintain unity among our entire South Asian population together.
That's right.
We showed you some montages of some of our productions, music and celebrities and people that we've had, mixing both East and West together.
I think you really excel in all the areas, I must tell you that, not because I'm not trying to flatter you.
No, it's very
but
kind
I
of you.
personally feel that you have a tremendous setup going on. You have a lovely setup going here. And with the kind of equipment, with the kind of talent you have, with the kind of talent Jayaji has, and all your crew and all your equipment, I think you have a wonderful thing going here. And I'm sure that in terms of production, you are very, very meticulous. So I'm sure that the time would come that we would probably be buying your programs in India.
Well, what we would love to do is, you don't have to buy at all. We'll give it to you with our best compliments,
I
because
know that.
we are very honored and we are very proud of your presence in North America.
So I feel that you're doing a tremendous job by spreading this beautiful culture across to people. And I think you must keep it up, because I think that's by far the best human service, so best service to our society, what you're doing. And I think that is very, very important.
Pankajji, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show with us. May God bless
Thank you.
And
I would like to not to thank you alone, but I'd like to thank all the viewers and thank everybody that we had such wonderful concert in Toronto. We had such wonderful audience in Toronto. We had such tremendous love and affection from people. I don't think we could ask for anything more.
It's been a pleasure having you here.